Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar. Just trying to help businesses in the UK and in the Northwest with funding. We know that startups usually have a lot of problems trying to access funding, and it will be good for them to know what funding is available, what opportunities they have out there to be able to support their businesses. Joe, if you could please take us to the next slide, that would be great. So usually the problem with getting funding for startups is that because the business is not yet established, the business is not known, it's usually difficult to access funding from the banks. If the directors have great credit history, that could help, but where a good credit history is a problem, is a factor, and there is no way to demonstrate that the business can be profitable, then that's always challenging. However, there are still opportunities and support out there for businesses and for business owners, for startups and for growth companies, businesses in different stages in their life cycle. And we just want to help you, and we want to tell you more about those opportunities today. Joe, please, the next slide. The first one I want to discuss is the startup loans, which is a loan provided by the British Business Bank, and it is accessible to all UK businesses. Typically, you need to have been in existence for only 24 months, up to 24 months. If you have a business in the UK and your business can show that it can be profitable, can show that it's got potential, then you should be able to access it. Every shareholder in the business can borrow up to 25,000. Is usually the first sort of loan we talk to businesses about, startup loans in the UK about, and almost everybody qualifies for that. As long as you're a UK resident, you're trading in the UK, and you can show that the business has some potential, then we're able to support you with that. The British Business Bank is usually, obviously, one of the cheapest loan providers you can see out there. So you're looking at about 6%, just about the same rate as your bounce back loan. So typically you will find it difficult to find a cheaper loan anywhere. Charlotte,
can you tell me what kind of business plan or business model that I might need to secure the funding, please?
Yeah, for startup loans, you typically have to submit a personal survival budget. You would also have to submit a cash flow forecast, as well as your business plan, detailing what the business does, how it performs, what it does, its operations. All of this allows you to picture what your business is going to do and to paint a picture of how your business is going to operate and how you're going to manage it, if you're going to need staff. Usually, funding provided by the British Business Bank, they always want you to employ other people. They always want you to help with the support for the labor market. So showing that your business is going to create jobs is always a positive. Apart from that, any business that can show that it can grow and it can be there for a while is going to be able to access the fund.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Another thing is that if you are a business in the UK, for the startup loans, you can be a limited company, a partnership, or an LLP, and you still be able to access that funding. Next slide, please, Joe. The Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund, microfinance, this is for businesses that have a little bit more about them. They've started trading, unlike the startup loan where you don't necessarily have any trading history to access it. This one, it's always good to have some trading history to be able to get it. A lot of businesses, not a lot, but some businesses do combine it with the startup loans. Once they've secured the startup loans and they need a bit more, they go for the microfinance. It's about the same rate in terms of interest rate for this. You're looking at about 6 to 10% in terms of interest rate, and it's accessible to up to 100K. If your business is doing 50K annually plus, then you're very likely to access these funds. Now, the thing about the Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund is that it's generally for businesses in the North. So the 12 administrative areas of the North can access this, and this investment are typically really good. You can have them for between 1 to 5 years, and you can easily access the funds if you can show that your business is going to grow and you're based in the Northwest.
Can I ask them what kind of criteria I'd need to qualify?
Yeah, your business typically needs to be within the northeast and northwest of England, or you're moving your business to the northeast or northwest of England. Credit history is also an issue here. Before the application will go any further, they would have tested that. You have to have between a fair to good credit rating to be able to access this funding. But it is accessible to all types of businesses in the northwest. Typically supports a lot of high growth areas like professional services, restaurants. So many businesses can access this.
Is there a particular turnover that I'd have to produce to enable me to meet the loan criteria?
There's no minimum criteria, but from what we have observed, if your business is already doing £50,000 or more annually, then you should be able to access it. Because you're looking for 25,000 plus, so you need to have a few multiples of that really to be able to show that you can afford the loan. Next slide, please. Northern Power's investment fund for debt finance. This is usually for businesses at the next stage, not the startup phase this time. This for businesses looking for between 100 to 750,000, and they cover a few areas. There are a few fund providers supporting this one. So you can access it for property businesses looking for property investment funds. You can access it for bidding on new contracts. So if your business is trying to bid on a new contract, you can use it for that. Another thing is you can use it to grow your business for expansion, and this is typically between 100 and £750,000. Again, you've got to be based in the northwest or northeast to access Northern Power's investment fund. As all of this are programs set up to help them not catch up with the South. There are three main lenders under the scheme, and varying rate of interest depending on the lender. You should be expecting between 10 to 15% again in terms of interest rates. On this one, you can typically have it for up to 60 months, so you can stretch it out. You can also use it for working capital if your business needs it.
What kind of businesses would qualify? What kind of industries?
For this, if you're in property, you'll be able to access it. If you're in professional services, you'll be able to access it. Most type of businesses, you'll be able to access this, but finance houses won't be able to access this anyway. But most UK businesses will be able to access it.
Brilliant.
Now, the Northern Power's investment fund equity finance, this is typically for businesses that, are struggling with getting debt finance, and the route is better for them to take the equity finance. Now, with equity finance here, typically you have longer to repay, but it's more expensive in terms of equity because you're giving away parts of your business. But then, depending on how the loan or the investment itself is structured, you could structure it in such a way where it is convertible, where some of it is in form of a loan where you pay the loan back and you get your shares back in terms of your offer to Northern Powers here. So typically you can get between 50,000 to 2 million. The number of businesses that have been able to access this scheme, interesting ones that you'll be surprised could access the fund. And it's really good because it also gives businesses that high-risk opportunities to be able to secure this funding, typically because government provides the SEIS and EIS support, which are big tax benefits and tax savers for investors, and allows businesses to be able to access funds they would not otherwise be able to access. The other thing about getting equity investment is some of the investors that invest do have things they can add to the business if they've been in business themselves before. They bring their know-how, their expertise into the fold, and that could really help the business grow. Next slide, please. Eligibility for Northern Powers Funds investment for typically is the 12 business administrative areas in the in the northwest and the northeast of England. So you're looking at your Greater Manchester, Lancashire, Cheshire. You're looking at your not Cumbria. You're looking at those areas, and if you're there, then you're able to access it. You also need to be able to show that your business is either a startup or early stages, fast growing. Typically, you want a business that's not loss-making, or at least a business that's got some substance about it. Is shown that it's made, profits in the past. Say, for example, your business is impacted by COVID. Then, prior to COVID, you've been successful, you've been profitable, you've been restricted in whatever you're doing by COVID. But then, with some funding injection, the business can grow. And typically, you need to be able to demonstrate how that funding injection would help your business. All of this and Northern Powerhouse investment funds are usually available to businesses that have not been able to access funding through their banks. So one of the criteria is that you won't be able to access funding from your bank to be able to access these funds. Next slide, please. So the Rosebud Finance is available for businesses in Lancashire, and this again offers between £10,000 to £300,000, and the loans are typically available between 3 to 5 years. No penalties for early repayments on this, and you can use this as well for working capital, refinance. You can also use it for growth and expansions, and it's another good one there that businesses can turn to in terms of accessing finance away from their banks, away from overdrafts with banks. Okay. So that's another accessible one, not too expensive, typically between 6 to 10% interest rate, which is about the kind of scheme you get on there.
How long would I have to be trading for to apply?
Typically, if you have, you need to demonstrate that the business has been in existence. So typically, if you have between 12 to 24 months, you should be able to apply.
How long would that process take of the application?
The application process is, it depends on the lender, but usually you can, if you apply today, then you should, if you're proactively providing the information requested, the business plans and all that, then typically you should be able to finish the process between 2 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
The GC Business Finance business loans, we work closely with the Manchester Growth Up. GC Business Finance is a part of the Manchester Business Growth Up. They've got a number of funding opportunities. Startup loans is one of the loans they do as well. And this GC Business Finance loans usually for growth, for high growth businesses, for businesses looking to expand, and for businesses based in Manchester area, typically between 10 to 15% again, can be repayable over 60 months. If you want it for less, you can take it for less. And usually, if you get these loans, and you didn't take the full amount, they will always give you an opportunity to top up if you do intend to do so over the course of the loan. And it's a really good one to access, because again, it's accessible to businesses who can access funding through their banks. It's accessible to businesses who can show that they are owned by UK residents, and they're businesses based in Manchester, in Cheshire, and they're looking to grow, looking to employ people.
Okay. So, with the term of the loan, then, would I be penalised if I wanted to make an early repayment?
No, there are no penalties for early repayment on GC Business Finance loans. Next slide, please. Next, okay. So the Greater Manchester Export Fund, it's for businesses that are interested in trading overseas. You either use, this is a fund you can access before you actually start trading, and this is a fund you can access after you started trading, typically between 3,000 to 150,000. And the good thing about this is you also get a lot of support from the team there in the Greater Manchester Export Fund, and they provide you with guidance about trading abroad, giving you all the local knowledge you probably won't be able to access yourself. And that's a very, very big one. Even if you don't end up getting a loan for any reason, you still have that support, and that's a good one to reach out to them for. Apart from that, they've got knowledge of overseas businesses, and they can guide you in terms of the way to structure it. But this is typically not for businesses that are SaaS. By that I mean businesses that are software enabled businesses, like selling software accessories or software systems. It's basically for businesses exporting goods to Europe, to Africa, to wherever they're sending it to. And it's another good fund provided by the GC Business Growth Hub. So the good thing about this is it allows banks to then give you more. So accessing this particular fund could open more doors, because banks will be able to use that to give you more funding, give you access to more funding in relation to exports. And it's one to secure, even if you don't need the funds immediately, because it will allow you to have sufficient cash flow to trade overseas. Yeah.
Can I get this type of loan then if the bank's already refused me?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
GC Angels early stage equity. So similar to the NPIF equity, GC Angels provide equity just a bit more. They can go lower than NPIF. NPIF starts from 50K. GC Angels starts for £25,000. But GC Angels particularly target innovation companies, technology companies, companies that are doing something innovative in the technological space. Not everybody will qualify for this. Professional services will struggle to get this one. So it's one that is really targeting innovative businesses and targeting innovation, and helping businesses that are doing things differently to access funding that they would otherwise not be able to access. Typically, GC Angels will provide funding based on the valuation of the company. So, a company that's not traded, usually there is an upper limit of about 500K on the valuation you can put on such a business. I'm talking about businesses that are before revenue. Yeah. If your business is trading and has generated revenue, obviously you're going to access more. And the funding is based on how much your business is worth, the valuation that is put on it, the size of your market, and usually you need to have a very strong pitch deck to be able to access this funding. But GC Angels does also provide the service around helping you put together that pitch deck if you're new to it, and it's something our Johnson can also help with. In terms of the expertise of the investors, there are loads of investors there with expertise in different skills, and they could bring that in as part of
the funding. They also support the business.
Yeah, they also support the business, and you won't be left alone at all in terms of managing the business on a day-to-day basis, or even for strategic purposes in terms of strategic planning. Yeah. Next slide, please. The recovery loan scheme, this has been around for a while now. It's just been extended for another 6 months by Rishi Sunak in the autumn budget. And the government guarantee is now 70% as opposed to the 80% initially. Businesses can access up to 10 million, and they can access debt. They can access debt finance. They can access invoice finance. They can access a whole range there. And usually you will need to go through your bank first to access the RLS. And there are a number of providers outside of banks that are also providing this. I know that GC Business Finance is looking at it. Funding Circle are providing it as well. But typically you go through your bank for this, and you're still liable for 100% of the repayment. The government guarantees 100% to the lenders. Very good rates. The amount you've borrowed, if you've borrowed under the bounce back loan, may affect how much you're able to borrow under the RLS. Some lenders may require you to pay that bounce back loan first off with parts of the RLS you're looking to borrow. The good thing about it is that if you're looking for funding less than 250K, then you're not going to need to provide a personal guarantee. But if you're borrowing 250K and over, then a personal guarantee may be required by the lender. It's accessible to all businesses. You typically have to show that you've been impacted by COVID and your business has suffered as a result of the pandemic. But that's easy to prove if you've been tracking, you've been filing your accounts, and you've been preparing your accounts. That does not mean that businesses that started during the pandemic cannot access it. It just means that you need to be able to show the impact of COVID on your business. So the terms are great. One of the best, cheapest loans you can get. You can access the funding as long as you're trading in the UK, showing that your business is got potential, and it can be used for working capital, refinance, and also other uses.
In relation to that, then, can I ask how many successful applications are actually made?
That's typical. It's been said that the RLS takes a lot of time to process. We've noticed that some banks have taken their time with the process, but other banks are a bit faster with the process. It might be it's always best to apply through your bank, but I don't know exactly how many have been approved yet. But the approval rates seem to be low. But depending on how strong the applications are, that will definitely help. There are some banks that process this very quickly. Obviously, I'm not allowed to name them on here, but it's best to always start with your bank. If you can't access it through your bank, and you can access it through GC Business Finance that we support, and we can help if that's the case.
Brilliant.
So another form of lending that businesses access these days is the Walker Business Loans. The Walker has a few innovative ways of lending to businesses. Typically, they've got the Flexi Loan, which is this one that offers between 1,000 to 750,000. Walker are one of those innovative lenders that can lend within 24 hours. They typically connect to your accounting software. If you're using an accounting software like Xero or QuickBooks, they'll be able to see your performance and look at your credit rating and basically just lend very quickly, make a decision very quickly. If you're taking the Flexi Loan, it's like a credit line that you can access whenever you need it. If you don't need it, you don't have to use it, but it's there for you to use whenever you want to use it, and then you only pay interest on whatever you use. Walker also have the Walker Pay. If you have got a business and you've got long payment days with your customers, Walker Pay allows you to get paid faster. So your customers pay through Walker Pay, and Walker Pay pays you straight off whatever the amount is. Your customers can then pay over 1, 2, or 3 months, depending on their cash resources, and that allows small businesses to grow faster and not be delayed in terms of receiving funding, crucial funding for the work they've done. It's open to sole traders, partnerships, limited companies, LLPs. Typically, very, very quick in their decision making. If you have a fair to good credit rating and a business that's showing funding with headroom on the bank statement, you're very, very likely to be able to get it.
Okay. How would I qualify for that then? What are the basic requirements needed?
Basic requirements, I would say, is showing that the business is making, between 5 to 10K a month or more. Showing that you're managing your costs well. The bank statement doesn't show that you're overdrawn all the time. Having a business that's actually profitable. Filed accounts need to show that. If you've not filed accounts, your management accounts need to show that, showing that you're on the right track and you've got a business that's sustainable, that's profitable, apart from the fact that you've got a short funding gap. Is typically good for working capital businesses that have need a credit line to help them through a patch. That does not mean it cannot be used for growth, but that's something that can be easily accessed. You work typically want to learn very quickly, want to make that decision very quickly. So if you use accounting software like Xero and QuickBooks, it allows them to access that very quickly and make the decision. Clearco is specific to e-commerce businesses, and they want to fund marketing and inventory, and typically they don't take ownership. They don't take any part of the ownership of the business. You continue to full ownership of the business. The thing about Clearco though is that the lending is actually based on you don't have a fixed repayment amount, so they typically can lend between 10,000 to 10 million. Your business needs to be doing 10K a month in revenue at the very least to be able to access this, and it's for e-commerce businesses, and they will review your Facebook ads, Google ads for the marketing side of things, and your inventory for inventory. You can spend the money on that. Typically, they will deduct their repayments from the revenue that you make. So the more you make, the more they take out in terms of Clearco. What that does then is it means that you can repay the loan faster and move on. And if you do need to top up in the future, you can do that. It also means that it's accessible to businesses that will probably not have been able to access the funding because of the fact that everybody's looking at their bottom line. So typically helps with marketing spend for businesses that can show that putting more money in marketing is actually showing is actually benefiting, and there's a linear way to access that more in marketing is leading to more in sales. Clearco is a very good one to access the fund for, because they can see that, they can easily track that, and that will mean that they can give that business a bigger size loan if required. Typically good for funding inventory for businesses that are going to Christmas period now, for example. If you've not already done your Christmas, you're not already prepared for Christmas, and you're looking for funding for Christmas, and you're an e-commerce business, Clearco is a good one. Very, very fast decision making again, looking at 24 to 48 hours in terms of getting the decision, and good credit rating also required for this one. And they will make you an offer, and then you decide. They'll make you an offer of about three offers, and you decide how much you want to borrow. And you typically won't need to be worrying about the repayment because it's deducted from your sales, from the revenue. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. If you have any questions, please direct them to us either via Facebook or the website. We'll be happy to support. We'll be happy to help you access any of this funding. We typically provide funding support to our subscription-based customers, but we also provide it on a one-off basis to any business needing it. And that will mean advising you on the type of funding to go for, helping you with the preparation of your funding applications, business plans, cash flow forecasts, putting together your management accounts or whatever is required to access the funding and put you in a good position. For businesses in Manchester, because we work closely with the Manchester Growth Hub and some of the lenders we've already listed here, we can not only help you prepare the application, but we can tell the story behind your business. A lot of times people don't access funds, are not able to get loans because nobody knows the story. Nobody knows how they're in the position they're in. Nobody knows how the business operates. We can help you tell that story so that the underwriters understand your business and feel comfortable and to lend you. So there are things that underwriters may not be able to ask you, but because we work closely with them, we can give them comfort over those issues and help your business secure the funding you need if you qualify.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Charlotte. Thank you very much, Robert. That brings us to the end of our webinar. As I said at the beginning, we have recorded this, so we'll make an on-demand version available on the social channels and on our website later on today. Thanks very much for attending, and we look forward to our next one.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Charlotte.